Hello, everyone. Welcome to the AI Leadership and Innovation in Hospitality session. I'm going to be your host and moderator, Stuart Greif. I'm the Chief Strategy Innovation Operating Officer at Forbes Travel Guide. We have a power pack panel. One of our members, Vaughn, will be joining as soon as the AI generation of him. It was so close, appears, but until his avatar shows up, we're joined by X and Michael. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask folks, we're going to dive right in. I'm going to ask X just to give a little bit of your background, 1 to 2 minutes, then Michael, and then we'll go to Vaughn when he comes. Or I'll do interpretive dance during his session and we'll keep it fresh. So X, share a little bit about your background, please.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is X. Yes, just the letter. I've been a software engineer, researcher, product manager for the past 17 years, but the past 12 years, I've been specifically focused on AI. I worked across the Department of Defense, building AI for national security. I've worked across a number of industries when I was an employee at Microsoft. And the last 3.5 years, when I was at Google, I worked specifically in the field of responsible AI. So looking at how to evaluate algorithms, find when they were underperforming, especially when they were causing harm, and figuring out how to fix them. Now I run my own AI consultancy that helps companies like yours figure out how to best innovate with AI in a way that allows them to be able to be industry leaders, as well as make sure that they don't hurt people along the way.
Great. Thank you. Michael?
I tell you, X, that's an amazing background that you have. Very impressive. So my background's a little bit different. I've been in hotel marketing for the past 20 years. I've worked for big brands, small brands, boutiques, but always marketing, always digital. Post-COVID, I started to go to the startup side where we worked with just driving hotels so they can do the direct booking. And most recently, I've also started doing AI consulting from the perspective of the business. So really looking at the RevGen teams, how they can leverage this technology to actually get productivity gains, drive more revenue, and reduce their costs. So that's my shtick.
Excellent, Michael. Well, we'll dive right in. I'm going to ask X to kind of set the stage for us. Now, people talk about AI, and of course, it's not a monolith. So how should we be thinking about AI from a leadership perspective overall?
Yeah, so first and foremost, as someone who's really technical, this is something I see with my clients all the time. There is so much hype about artificial intelligence. There's machine learning, generative AI, deep learning, neural networks. It can be very difficult to sort of parse through all of the dense academic and technical language to be able to really understand how to make it practical for you. So there's a framework that I like to use to help business leaders, especially, understand how to think about AI. First and foremost, artificial intelligence is not just one thing. It's very easy to assume that like AI is one thing, but AI really is more like a category. So think about the word car. When I say a car, you might imagine an electric car, you might imagine a gas car, you might imagine an 18-wheeler truck, right? And even though the word car encompasses all those things, they're different, but they all do pretty much the same thing. A car gets you fast to point A. A car gets you from point A to point B faster than you would get there if you were walking by foot. Well, unless you're in LA traffic, then that's arguable. Similarly, artificial intelligence encompasses a bunch of different disciplines. So computer science, engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, that aim to kind of do one thing. And that's teach machines how to think and act like a human. Well, how do you teach a machine to think and act like a human? Well, humans have 5 senses, right? We have sight, we have hearing, we have touch, we have smell, and we have taste. Similarly, artificial intelligence kind of has 5 domains. So teaching a machine how to see is called computer vision. That's what powers things inside of your phone, like your Face ID or the algorithms inside of your cameras. Teaching a machine how to hear is called natural language processing. That's how you can have conversations with chatbots like ChatGPT or Gemini, or even talk to the conversational assistant in your phone, whether that's Siri or Google Assistant. Teaching machines how to touch is called haptics. We see that more in robotics. Teaching machines how to smell is called machine olfactory. Teaching machines how to taste is a very new research discipline that doesn't have a whole lot of papers behind it, and unfortunately doesn't have a fancy name. And then generative AI is teaching machines how to think and act like the human imagination. So I hope that that framework, again, artificial intelligence is teaching machines how to think and act like humans. Humans have 5 senses. The domains of artificial intelligence kind of fall along those lines, and generative AI is teaching machines how to think and act like the human imagination. So I hope that framework helps you navigate this landscape a little bit easier.
That's fantastic. And I'm grateful that the olfactory, the ability to smell, is not yet well developed, or my Zoom calls and team calls would have left me as the only one left in the room. So kidding aside, Michael, tell us, when you think about the span of it, share with us kind of where things are today. What aspects of AI are you seeing, in marketing and the other areas that you're deeply expert in?
Definitely. So, and I love how X talks about the 5 senses, because that really helps to bring this AI to life. So I recently wrote a book called Too Many Hats, Too Little Time. Really, it's all about the AI personas. And, what it does is really builds upon sort of like what X says, and it actually goes and gives a personality to the AI. So now you create a persona, you have what it can do, like from these senses, but then you actually give it a little bit more. You can give it a personality, you can give it skills, you can give it an approach of how it wants to solve problems. So, for example, we're talking about how to help marketing. You can essentially create a persona of a CMO. So you have a particular type of a hotel or a company, and you have a specific type of need. Well, you can create a persona that embodies these senses, but goes really deep into the skills, the experience. So then when you construct this and load it into the system, it could be Stuart, the CMO of this boutique hotel, and you can actually ask the CMO, which is Stuart, any problems that or questions you have, and it will respond to you in a very lifelike way. So really, in terms of AI leadership, you can actually create these AI leaders, these AI subject matter experts that are on demand 24/7 to really help you navigate anything that you want to face. So that's how I'd address that one.
Now, Michael, I think, and X as well, we saw just in, I think, the last 24, 48 hours, OpenAI AI released Sora, which is the Japanese word for sky, the ability to create video, very compelling looking video, not perfect yet, on demand. I'd love, so for example, the ability to create marketing campaigns visually, even static images, much less videos. Maybe just X, from your perspective overall, tell us your thoughts just as an AI expert, kind of how you see that going forward broadly. And then Michael, ask, just in terms of use cases or within marketing and other areas, if you've seen people embracing it yet, what the kind of benefits have been so far.
Yeah, so I definitely say that we're living in an age where artificial intelligence, especially for marketing, for growth strategies, can really be a value add. The catch is you have to make sure that the way that you're using the AI to add value is in a way that augments the humans that are already doing that work. I do consulting with a lot of different companies. One of them just happens to be one of the largest advertisers in the world. And so this was a challenge that we had to spend a lot of time discussing. One of the mistakes that I see a lot of folks make is the excitement to use generative AI products to replace what people can do, right? So, you have a marketing idea, you're like, oh, well, we're just going to have, Midjourney or Dolly generate all of our marketing copy, or we'll just use ChatGPT or Gemini or Anthropic to go, generate all of our social media strategy and then implement it for us. And one of the challenges there is that those systems, whether it's a generative image model or whether it's a generative text model, like a large language model, they're not built to do factual tasks, right? These are systems that underneath the hood, they use really, really complex math. If you've ever heard the term transformer architecture, it's just academic speak for really fancy math. They use a transformer architecture to take what you give it, your prompt, and then mathematically guess what it should give you back. So if I go into a large language model and I say, hey, give me this strategy for how to best run my social media campaigns, it's going to use really complex math to guess something back. but that then loses all the value that you have in your brand in-house, the folks who know how your brand resonates on certain channels more than others, right? It doesn't mean it can't help them, that it can't augment them in that process, but I think we should look at working with AI and people hand in hand, as opposed to trying to just straight up replace them, thinking about ways that you can use artificial intelligence to augment and supplement and what's the word I'm looking for? Like grow the genius of the people who are already there instead of trying to replace them. So for example, instead of trying to run to a generative AI model to replace all of your marketing copy, maybe what you can do is start off with something small. Hey, let's try out replacing our social media captions on what for 1 week, with an AI generated social media captions from 3 different large language models. Let's see how it works. Does it generate what we need? Is it capable of working for us? How do the humans who are involved in this process feel about it? That way you're not jumping into major investments that you have to claw your way back
Wonderful.
from.
Thanks so much, X. That's excellent. And we'll get to Vaughn in a moment and get caught up and go deep with you, Vaughn. I've just asked Michael if you have any follow-up thoughts as a practitioner of some use cases you've seen so far along those lines.
Yeah, so the use cases I see really, I've going through a really comprehensive AI transformation right now, going through working with the marketing, sales, revenue management, distribution, and HR, and there are similar themes that show up in terms of I focus on where is the most amount of time spent. And what I want to do is look at the most amount of time spent on use cases and what could be automated, where is their analysis, where are they creating something new? And really the time suck is meetings, strategy, analysis of competition, writing reports, and then managing teams. And really what you want to do is use the AI to handle the first 4, because really the value is the people and growing your people. So if you can leverage this technology to really allow you to have more time to work with the people that really make a difference, that is a huge win for hospitality in any organization. And that's my goal.
Fantastic. And welcome, Vaughn. Now, Vaughn being in the Los Angeles area, formerly CEO of Relevant Hospitality, a gentleman who made it from learning the trade in a hotel from the bell to GM in 8 years and then CEO, and has recently launched his own AI startup based on his expertise. So I'm going to dive in here. I want to say, being in LA, you know how to make a dramatic entrance, Vaughn.
Thank you, Stuart. It's such a pleasure and an honor to be here.
So could you talk to, from, first from a hotelier, from somebody who's led at every level and kind of throughout the hotel, talk about the pragmatic areas where you, I think, are this kind of unicorn unique, a leading tech person, as well as somebody that runs operations, and then how you did that to drive efficiencies, revenue. Can you give me maybe 2 or 3 specific examples over the next, let's say, 3 or 4 minutes for the audience to understand?
Yeah, I can power through it really quickly. Starting from the ground up within hospitality, I think it was important for me to audit and evaluate the entire internal and external guest experience and find ways to create efficiencies through interconnectivity of all departments. So one of the things that I attacked first would be the luggage tags. Let's use that as an example, right? I just never understood why I had to ask the guest their name, write their information down on one sliver of the tab, and then the other sliver of the tab, write their name again, and then exactly, when they're checking in, when they're checking out. It was like a 3-minute process.
I think it might be time for that interpretive dance you promised us.
Oh, are you ready? No, I'm just kidding. So we partnered with a company called Chexology, and what they did is they used near field communication, NFC, to create these tags that you can place on the luggage, and you use an iPod or any one of the smart devices that your hotel might utilize, and you can quickly scan a picture of the luggage. It'll tag the luggage for you. You associate it in the belt closet with a specific location in which it will be stored, and then the guest receives a text message, which is ultimately their ticket number. So that was one of the things that I think was very impactful. And then we had some conversations with the Chexology team about ways that we can improve on the efficiencies within valet, because valet I identified as another barrier to my peak end rule, which is something that we use as our ethos for everything that we create within the hospitality space. So they then connected with their team. and they built a program in which they were able to scan the vehicle with the smart device. So long gone are the days in which you have to use a valet tag, you have to mark every blemish. You could just scan really quickly, and then you send that over to the guest as well via text. So now it's in one centralized location for the hotel guests, and also you're protecting your hotels because there's no opportunity for any potential liability from someone saying that the vehicle was hit, and then you have to, of course, furnish some sort of a monetary compensation pertaining to that. And the last one I can mention really quickly would be robots. We worked with a company called Relay, which is now, which was actually Saviak, which is now Relay Robotics. And the vision there was we actually had faced a very challenging time during the pandemic in which we had to decide how do we keep the doors open like every other hotel in the world, and also keep it safe for our guests and safe for our team members. So we partnered with them and we deployed a robot called Alfred. I think I'm Batman. It's an internal problem. We'll deal with that another time. But we named him Alfred, and Alfred actually integrated with the elevator. So Alfred could call the elevator on his own. The team would just deploy the item in which the guest requested. Alfred would take it on up, call the floor, exit the elevator, call the guest in the room, text the guest. Once the guest opens their door, he opens his door, take your item out, boom, done. And we built that out for your wonderful Forbes standards, Mr. Stuart. So the robot actually would deliver within that 5 minute threshold that was identified.
Wonderful. Thanks, Vaughn. Those are really great examples. And Vaughn, beyond AI, even just in technology, did digital art with NFTs to draw people in from the community that spend money and F&B and at the property, driving real revenue. And then you changed the digital artist to a different artist and brought a whole new group of people in. So I love the fact that you're actually doing it where the rubber meets the road. X, would love to get your view of, especially you were Google's lead globally in kind of responsible AI. How do we approach this responsibly and ethically? Lay out kind of a framework for us, if you would, please.
Sure. I think something that's really important to note is that building artificial intelligence applications comes with a different level of risk than building a regular app, the way that we're used to. So let's say, for example, that I have a food delivery app, and Stuart, you update your iPhone to the new version, and for some reason, something in that new version makes the checkout button stop working. If I wanted to fix that, I would simply go into my code base, figure out what needed to be changed, removed, or added, and then I'd just send an update. You download the new app, and then it would work. Well, with artificial intelligence, because we train these models, which is where we teach them how to do things based on large amounts of data, once those patterns are unlearned, it takes even more data to be able to change what they've learned over time. So if you have an algorithm that you're using, let's say, to recommend, to do predictive pricing, right? And your algorithm is consistently, you find out that for certain customer groups, it's giving them way bigger discounts than it should. Like maybe you have preferred guests that are like at your diamond or your elite status, right? And it's giving them 20% discounts when it should be giving them like 5. Well, once you figure that out, in order to fix the reason why the algorithm's doing that, you'd have to get a whole bunch of data, retrain the algorithm, and then test it again to see if it works. So the equivalent of that is if your checkout button stopped working in your app, instead of just changing the 1 or 2 things that's there, I'd have to take the app off the app store, go back and completely rebuild it. So with AI, when you're thinking about implementing these algorithms, you want to make sure that you're moving quickly and that you're moving at the pace of innovation, but that you're moving intentionally enough to not move so fast that you end up tripping over yourself. So that doesn't have to mean that you hire a big UX team to figure out how to do everything perfectly. It just means incorporating tools into your algorithms that can help you understand why they're operating the way that they are, documenting the changes that you make to your models, and making sure that you actually test them before you put them on market. So it's very common to hear people say, well, black box models, black box algorithms. Well, in 2024, I'm happy to report that there's no such thing. There are tools for algorithms that can help you with what's called interpretability, which is understanding why a model made the decision or created the output that it created. And these tools are available completely free. They're open source. They're put out by some of the biggest companies in the world. So all you have to do is plug them in. So when you think about doing AI responsibly, think about the difference in the potential sunk cost if you do it incorrectly up front, and making sure that you're slowing down enough to incorporate these tools in your pipeline to be able to move fast enough to move forward.
Excellent. Thank you so much, X. And Michael, I'd love to get kind of your view of that. And then let's, we've got about a little under 5 minutes left. Give us a forward-looking view in the areas of kind of marketing and other areas that you see AI. What do you see over the next year or two as well?
All right, so I guess just regarding sort of like what X was saying, I think in terms of AI, well, she takes a very technical approach, which I think is terrific. I think on the other side, on the business side, what's scary about this technology and what's amazing is as it gets better and better, because as you hear a lot, it is as bad as it's ever going to be right now. It's only going to get better. And I think the big challenge that we all face is that we become very confident in that this technology can do what it needs to do. So a lot of us who have our hand on the switch potentially could fall asleep at the switch because we're not checking it. And that is why I believe critical thinking is going to be the number one skill that we really need to look at for people to really challenge us and not just accept it. We have to keep the human in the loop. And I think as the technology gets better and better, we'll say, well, you know what? I don't need to be there as much because it always gets it right. But it won't always get it right. And maybe that one time out of 100, that one time out of 1,000 is going to be a real problem. So I think for now and going forward, because as this technology improves, it's going to start to be invisible and we're not going to see it. It's going to be just like electricity. That's part of all the machines that we use is just going to be there. So I think that we always need to kind of stay on top of it and take a very proactive approach to build workflows that always keep the human to validate not just the people, but also the technology, making sure that it's doing what it should do at the right time. Because again, the ultimate dream for marketing was the right message at the right time, or the right person on the right device. And now it's really we're gonna get to that one-to-one messaging where I believe I heard someone speak the other day, like with Sora, that you'll actually be able to have ads created on the fly that's unique to me, unique commercials that no one else will see, that's just been constructed for me based on my background, based on my preferences, what they know about me, that will really drive me to convert. That is the future that we're looking to.
Yeah, that's fantastic. There's actually a company, I have no personal or financial interest. I always disclose whether I would or not, but called Omnikey, O-M as in Mary, N as in Nancy, E as in Edward, K as in kite, Y as in yes, that I know was, from the start early on was doing that. Vaughn, we've got about 2 minutes left. I'd love to get your sense. Now, you've taken everything you've known and learned being this intersection of tech and operations, and you've developed Hypernimbus.ai, which I appreciate you're still in stealth mode, but tell us a little bit, because that's got a forward view of how you could approach with what you can share AI in a hotel context more broadly.
Yeah, so we are definitely in stealth mode, so I won't be giving away any of our proprietary IP here. X will call me. Will fly all the way from where she is to put a nice little muzzle on me very quickly. But so the Hypernimbus itself is actually a culmination of my experience within hospitality, and also my tech background, but then bringing X in, who is an absolute legend at just anything AI and anything technology, which we all know from her background from Microsoft and Google, has really allowed us to build something that's very unique. So any of the challenges, any of the pain points, any, as we call them, friction points as well, that you would experience within your day-to-day operations, this is exactly what the AI is being developed to address. So one of the big challenges, I'll just give one example. If you send an email to someone and you need, I don't know, a pro forma created, next, stop me if I'm going too deep here. If you need a pro forma created, how many different levels of approval do you have to go through before that's done? And how long does it generally take within the hospitality industry? From our analysis, it's usually anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the size of the company. If it's a smaller company, they're a little bit more nimble. A larger company, of course, a lot of cut through. So we can be able to address that by simply including everyone in one dashboard, and the AI can generate that pro forma for you, and you can have the approval processes happening simultaneously or in different modalities to help that move much quicker, and to ensure that you can get the answer to whatever you're asking in a timely manner.
That's great. We're at time, so my last parting thought is 20 minutes is too short. Feel free, everybody, follow up directly with X, with Michael, with Vaughn, with questions. They are really leading their areas in the industry and doing cutting edge things. So thank you for the time, the opportunity. Enjoy the rest of the program and follow up whenever you need with any one of us. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.